Good afternoon. I'm Sharon Guffey-Lewis. I'm standing in front of the historic Hitchcock house in Lewis, Iowa. The house was built in 1856 and it still stands today. It went through a period of time that it was not in good repair, but the industrious people of Lewis, Iowa worked together and raised money and continue to raise money to help us to restore the house and then to help us keep it up. The house was built by Reverend George Hitchcock. He came to this area in Lewis for two reasons. He wanted to see if he couldn't start a church, and he wanted to be a more integral part of the Underground Railroad. So he built this house on 120 acres in 1856, which at that point was a very sizable farm for that period of time. So he purchased the 120 acres, moved his wife and 6 children here. They lived in a one-room cabin. So I'm sure Mrs. Hitchcock thought when she moved into this house that she was moving into a mansion, because it is a large house. It has 4 bedrooms upstairs and 4 rooms downstairs, and then a full basement, which is probably the most significant part of the house and his reason for building it, in that the basement has a secret room. Reverend Hitchcock built this house with this express purpose, that he wanted to have a safe place for the runaway slaves, the freedom seekers, to hide, and to have a place where they could rest. They obviously did not come to this house with any idea of staying a long time, but this room would have been very much like a 5-star hotel to them. To us, it looks rather primitive, but it does have a bed in it and a place where they can rest. The fireplace out in the main part of the basement would have been where Mrs. Hitchcock did most of the cooking. And so they would have had a nice warm meal, no doubt, waiting for them when they came. Most of the time they traveled at night, and so if they were coming here to rest or to get out of the rain or to get away from bounty hunters chasing them, they would have found this to be a very welcoming place for them to come and rest a bit. They would not have stayed long. Their goal, of course, was to keep moving and to get to Canada, where that was called heaven for them. And that was their goal. So, but this house has probably a very unique distinction in that this room was built specifically for them to be safe and housed where they could be warm and have something good to eat. This is Sharon Guffey-Lewis. I'm standing in a room in the downstairs of the Hitchcock house in Lewis, Iowa. This room might have been used as a sick room because it does have a bed in it. It might have been a room for a third generation of family, because there were not nursing homes at that point, and people were considered old by at a much earlier age than we consider old today. So it could have been a room for the grandparents to have stayed in when they were living with the family. We don't know exactly what the Hitchcock house, what Mrs. Hitchcock and Reverend Hitchcock used this room for, but we do know that it was probably, at least might have been used for sick children, because with 6 children, probably most of them were some of them were sick at least a portion of the time. The picture on the wall I'd like to share a little bit with you about. This is what the house looked like in 1984. As you can see, the windows were gone, the doors were pretty much gone. The side of the house had fallen away where the chimney was, and so the roof was caving in, the second floor was caving in. It was very near not being able to be saved. We are so fortunate that Zoe had a vision for this place and bought it and wanted it to be restored. And finally, today I'm in the dining room of the Hitchcock house in Lewis, Iowa. The table is set much as it would have been set in that period of time. This is called the tea leaf pattern, and people would have used this pattern a great deal at that period of time. If I remember correctly, someone in this house did have this pattern of dishes because they found some shards of it in the yard when they were doing the restoration. But whether the Hitchcocks ate here every day, we are not sure. But we do know that she would have set the table in this manner during that time. I hope you'll come and visit the Hitchcock house. It is a wonderful place to come. We are open for tours from Tuesday through Sunday, 1 to 5. And so please come and visit us. If you've been here and you would like to volunteer, we are always looking for people who will come and give tours or people who will come and work in the granary for us. The granary houses our gift shop, and it's where the tours start. And so we need people to sit in there. So that's a nice inside job to do. So if you're interested in helping in any way, please contact the Hitchcock House at 712-769-2323, where we would love to have you come.